I never saw Mark as anything but Sarah's kid for years, just this little boy tearing through the house during my visits, yanking on my sleeve to show off his latest drawings or firing off a million questions about being a doctor. I'd always tease him about sneaking cookies when he thought no one was looking, or how he couldn't sit still for a whole movie. But people grow up, right? That night, everything shifted. It was after one of Sarah's legendary family dinners, the kind she threw for everyone: friends, distant cousins, anyone who wanted to crowd around her big dining table. Apple pie smell hung in the air, laughter echoing, that kind of warmth that chipped away at my loneliness. Sarah had crashed early, claiming exhaustion, and most guests were gone. Chloe, Mark's younger sister, was out with friends. Just me and Mark left in the kitchen, dishes piled high, wine glasses scattered. "You don't have to help," I said, drying my hands. "It's fine," he replied, voice deeper than I remembered. "I don't mind." I glanced at him, paused. Something was different, how he stood, taller, shoulders broader, not the lanky teen I knew. "How's the graphic novel?" I asked, filling the quiet. He smiled, a subtle lift of his lips that sent a jolt through me I didn't want to name. "Slowly, getting there. Maybe I'll actually finish something worth showing." "You're talented," I said, meeting his eyes. "No worries there." He leaned against the counter, arms crossed, gaze lingering a beat too long. "You've always believed in me," he said quietly. The kitchen felt smaller. I focused on rinsing a glass, pulse quickening. "Of course," I replied, forcing lightness. "Known you since you were a kid, always had potential." "That's the thing," he said, stepping closer. "I'm not a kid anymore." I froze, grip tightening on the glass. "Mark, I've been in love with you for years," he said, voice steady, raw. "I know how it sounds, I know what you'll say, but I needed you to know." My heart hammered, felt like it would burst. This wasn't happening, couldn't be. "Mark, you don't mean that," I said, turning to face him. "You're young. It's just a—" "It's not a phase," he cut in, eyes locked on mine. "You've been the one constant in my life. The one person who always understood me. I've tried to ignore it, but I can't." I opened my mouth to argue, to tell him how wrong this was, but words caught in my throat. Standing there, his confession hanging between us, I couldn't deny the truth. He wasn't a boy, and the way he looked, impossible to ignore. Sarah and I, we were friends forever. Nursing school. Two young women juggling exams, internships, life. Sarah, everything I wasn't. Outgoing, bold, fearless, made friends instantly, charmed anyone, always made you feel like you were the only person in the room. We became family. Holidays alone, Sarah's house. Feast for an army, I'd bring dessert, always store-bought. Baking wasn't my thing. And then Mark. 9 years old when I met him, scrawny, big brown eyes, messy hair, shy at first, always behind Sarah's leg when I visited. Didn't last. Once he warmed up, no stopping him. "Think I could be a doctor someday?" he asked, eyes wide. "You can be anything," I told him. Grinned, then 100 questions about surgeries, hospitals, mind buzzing. Interests shifted. Teenager, always hunched over a sketchbook, charcoal, ink-smudged fingers, art impressive, even then. Dark, brooding, emotion beyond his years. "He's got talent," I told Sarah once, seeing his work. "Wish he'd leave his room," she'd say, rolling her eyes. "If I didn't drag him down for dinner, he'd forget we exist." But that was Mark. Quiet, introspective, always a little apart. While Mark grew up, my life went on. Nurse practitioner for years, loved it, but little else. Last serious relationship ended in my early 40s. Mutual, felt more like surrender than breakup. No fights, just drifted apart, lives pulling different ways. After that, stopped trying, dating, exhausting. Told myself I didn't need anyone, work, friends, Sarah's family, who treated me like their own, but deep down, loneliness I didn't admit. Mark, always like a nephew. Cared for him, never romantic, never inappropriate. Teased him about messy hair, endless appetite, eye rolls like any teen. Something shifted after college when he moved back home. First time I noticed Sarah's dinner party. Mark helping set the table, movements calm, deliberate. "How's the art?" I asked, expecting vague answers. Instead, he opened up. "Harder than I thought," he admitted, voice quiet. "Putting yourself out there. Spend so much time in your head creating, then terrified people won't get it." Surprised by his vulnerability. "People will get it," I said. "You've got something special, Mark. Don't let fear stop you." He smiled, small, almost shy, chest tightening in a way I didn't understand then. Months passed. Little things. Mark's eyes lingering during conversations, always finding reasons to sit next to me at dinners, help clean up, smile when I complimented his work, like my opinion mattered most. Told myself I was imagining it, polite, grateful for support. But deep down, more. Sarah, of course, didn't notice. Too busy with her own life, work, Chloe's activities, dating after divorce. If she'd seen how Mark looked at me, not sure she'd laugh it off. Turning point, afternoon dropping off a book I'd borrowed. Sarah wasn't home. Mark on the porch, sketchbook. "Hey," I said, handing him the book. "Mom left this at my place." "Thanks," he said, setting it aside. "Want to sit?" Hesitated, then sat beside him. Late afternoon sun, long shadows. Showed me his sketchbook, intricate drawings, people, animals, abstract shapes. Talent undeniable, raw, emotional. "These are incredible," I said, genuinely impressed. "Thanks," he said, voice quieter, thinking about a series on people who've influenced me. Tone soft, deliberate. I smiled, looking at him. Beautiful idea. Anyone in mind to start with? Hesitated, fingers tracing sketchbook edge. Finally spoke, voice almost hesitant. "Thinking about starting with you." Words hung in the air, heavy. "Me?" I asked, forcing a laugh. "Mark, come on. Hardly an interesting subject." "That's not true," he said, turning fully to face me. "You've always been there, believed in me when I didn't believe myself. You're important to me." Something in his eyes, intensity, impossible to dismiss as casual. Heart skipped. Strange mix of flattery, unease. "Just a family friend," I said lightly, brushing it off. "You're more than that," he replied, voice firm. After that conversation, couldn't stop thinking about him. Every visit to Sarah's, hyper-aware of Mark, how he moved, looked at me, voice softened when he spoke to me. Subtle at first, easy to ignore. More time together, harder to deny something shifted. Told myself nothing, just a harmless crush, misplaced curiosity. Deep down, knew better, Sarah, oblivious. But night of family dinner, everything came to a head. Weeks pushing feelings aside, convincing myself it was all in my head. Left alone in the kitchen, Mark's demeanor different. Not shy, awkward boy. Confident, self-assured, weight to his presence, impossible to ignore. "You've been quiet tonight," I said, breaking silence washing dishes. Glanced at me, small smile. "Just thinking." Set dish towel down, turned to face me, expression serious. "About you." Breath hitched, flicker of panic. "Mark, I know what you're going to say," he interrupted, stepping closer. "That this is wrong, just a phase I'm too young to understand. But I do understand. I've been in love with you for years. Tired of pretending." Words hit like a punch, speechless. Stared at him, mind racing. "You mean so much to me," he continued, voice trembling slightly. "I know it's complicated, but I need you to know how I feel." Long moment of silence. Only sound, dishwasher hum, heart pounding in my ears. Finally, found my voice. "Mark, you're young. You don't know what you're saying." "I'm not a kid anymore," he cut me off. "And you're not just my mom's friend. You're everything to me." Opened my mouth, respond, tell him how wrong this was, but the look in his eyes stopped me. No hesitation, no doubt. Pure, unfiltered emotion. Something inside me broke. Should have walked away. Thought keeps replaying. Should have set down the glass. Told him wrong. Left the kitchen. But didn't. Stood there, rooted, Mark's confession settled between us. Slow burning fuse. Words weren't rushed, impulsive. Calm, deliberate. Words you don't say unless you've thought a long time. "I mean it," he said, stepping closer, eyes locked on mine, unflinching. "You've been everything to me. Can't keep pretending." "Mark," voice a whisper, barely audible over pounding heart. "You don't know what you're saying." "I do," he replied, tone steady, raw. "I've thought about it every day, for years. You're the only person who's ever really seen me." Words hit harder than I wanted to admit. No hesitation in his voice, no insecurity, uncertainty I expected from someone his age. Conviction, intensity, chest tightening in a way I hadn't felt in years. "This isn't right," I said, trying to sound firm, failing. "Why?" he asked, voice quiet, insistent. "Because of my age, because of what people might think, because I'm your mom's best friend," I said, stepping back slightly. "Because I've known you since you were a kid. This isn't. It can't be. Even as I spoke, words felt hollow. Don't remember exactly how it happened. 1 minute standing there, tension thick next, his hand on mine, gentle, purposeful. Tell me to stop, he said, voice low. If you don't feel the same way, just tell me and I'll never bring it up again. Couldn't speak. Heart racing, thoughts spiraling, didn't pull hand away. Stepped closer. Thumb brushed back of my hand. You don't have to say anything, he murmured. Just need you to know. I searched mine. Moment, saw everything unsaid. Years of quiet admiration, longing, something deeper than either understood. Then he kissed me, not rushed, forceful, soft, tentative, testing the water, split second, froze, rational thoughts screaming to push him away, but didn't. Found myself leaning in, hands gripping counter edge as lips moved against mine. Heat between us, spark I hadn't felt in years. Terrified me as much as thrilled me. Pulled apart, breathless, mind reeling. We can't do this, I said, voice shaky. I don't care, he replied, gaze unwavering. After that kiss, everything surreal, told him he needed to leave. Time to think. But as he walked out, replaying moment in my head. Paced kitchen for hours, thoughts whirlwind of guilt, fear, something I couldn't name. Knew wrong. Friends with Sarah for decades, Mark practically family. Not just crossing a line, obliterating it, but another part I didn't want to admit existed, felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. Mistake, that night. Convinced myself moment got the best of me. One time lapse in judgment. But when Mark texted next morning, resolve crumbled. Can we talk? Stared at message, eternity, fingers hovering over screen. Should say no, letting this go further worse. Instead, typed, come over. When he arrived, nervous energy radiating off him. Porch, hands in pockets, confidence replaced by vulnerability. Hi, he said, voice soft. Hi, I replied, stepping aside. Living room, air heavy with unspoken words. Last night, I started, but he interrupted. Wasn't a mistake, he said firmly. It was, I replied, voice lacking conviction. Mark, you're young. This isn't what you think. Shook head, leaning forward. You keep saying that, but you don't believe it. I know you felt it too. Words left me speechless. Carefully constructed arguments crumbling under weight of his certainty. I don't know what this is, I admitted finally, voice trembling, but it's not something we can act on. Why not? He asked, tone quiet but insistent. Because it's complicated, because people might judge us. None of that changes how I feel about you. Looked away, unable to meet his gaze. What about your mom, Sarah? Any idea what this would do to her? I know, he said, voice breaking slightly. But I can't pretend I don't feel this way anymore, and I don't think you can either. Words hung in the air. Before I could stop myself, reached for him. Didn't know what I was doing. Moment of weakness, something deeper. When lips met again, fear, guilt melted away. This kiss, not tentative, deeper, more urgent, release of everything we'd been holding back. Hands found my waist, pulling me closer. Giving in to something I couldn't explain. Pulled apart, forehead against his, breath shaky. This is dangerous, I whispered. I don't care, he replied, voice steady. I'm not letting you go. That night, beginning of something neither could stop. Messy, complicated, stolen moments, quiet confessions, but real. Walking a tightrope. Secrets could destroy everything. But with him, none of that mattered. First time in years, felt alive. Wish I could say I stopped it there. Came to senses after second kiss, told Mark no more. Truth is, didn't want to stop. First time in years, felt wanted. Not just noticed, but deeply, unflinchingly desired. Intoxicating. No matter how much I rationalized, resisted, falling deeper into something I knew I couldn't control. Week later, Mark and I crossed line, never coming back. Sarah asked me to house sit, weekend trip with Chloe. Mark stayed behind. Graphic novel excuse. Saturday night texted, can I come over? Stared at screen, heart pounding. Knew what he asked, even unsaid. Should have said no. Instead, typed, yes. When he arrived, air electric. Stepped into the house, presence filled space, pulse quickened. You shouldn't be here, I said, voice trembling. But you let me come, he replied, gaze steady. Before I could respond, closed distance, hands sliding to my waist, kissing me. No hesitation this time, no second guessing. Touch confident, lips moving against mine with hunger, breathless. Didn't make it far, just couch and living room. Hands everywhere, touch igniting something inside I hadn't felt in years. Knew wrong. Crossing a line uncrossable. Couldn't bring myself to stop. Over. Tangled together on couch. Room silent, just breathing. "This is insane," I said finally, whisper. "Maybe," he replied, brushing hair from my face, "but it feels right." Moment. Couldn't argue. After that night, things changed. Didn't talk about what we were doing, what it meant. Just let it happen. Swept up in thrill of forbidden. Mark would come over late, slipping through back door while Sarah upstairs. Steal moments in kitchen quiet, hands on my waist, kissing me like he couldn't get enough. Once, pulled me into hallway, Sarah in next room, lips brushing ear, whispered, "Can't stop thinking about you." "You're insane," I whispered back, even as I let him kiss me. "And you love it," he replied, grin mischievous. He wasn't wrong. Afternoon, Sarah at work, Mark and I met in Central Park. Risky, but couldn't resist chance to be together without secrecy. Secluded spot under trees, golden sunlight filtering through leaves. Leaned against tree trunk, pulled me close, hands sliding to hips, deep kiss. "You're going to get us caught," I murmured, hands on his chest. "Let them catch us," he replied, voice low, rough, laughed, shaking head. "You're impossible." "And you're perfect," he said, gaze softening. Words made chest ache. Longing, fear swirling inside. Wanted to believe we could keep this up. Bubble we'd created could last forever. Deep down, knew only matter of time before it all crashed. Boldest risk. Weekend trip with Sarah and Chloe. Cabin in the Catskills, family getaway Sarah organized. First night, after dinner, Sarah and Chloe went to bed early, leaving me and Mark alone by fireplace. Sat in silence, crackling flames. "Can't stop thinking about you," he said finally, voice low. "Mark," I started, but he cut me off. "I mean it," he said, turning to face me. "Every time I see you, every time I'm near you, it's all I can think about." Resolve crumbled. Leaned in, lips finding his, kiss desperate, tender, risk of being caught, exhilarating. Slipped outside, cool night air wrapping around us, secluded spot behind cabin. Hands on me, touch shivers. Moment. Felt like only two people in the world. But for all passion, intensity, always a shadow. Every time I saw Sarah, guilt gnawed. Constant reminder of line I was crossing. "She's your mother's best friend," I said one night, Mark and I tangled in my bed. "And you're the woman I love," he replied without hesitation. Words, rush of warmth, flicker of fear, not just a fling for him, real, something couldn't be undone. "What happens if she finds out?" I asked, voice trembling. "She won't," he said firmly. "We'll be careful." But no matter how careful, couldn't shake feeling time running out. Started small. Sarah noticed changes in Mark. Sudden absences, distracted family dinners, how he looked at me when he thought no one was watching. "Everything okay with Mark?" she asked one evening, porch, sipping wine. "Of course," I replied quickly, forcing smile. "He's been acting strange lately," she said, frowning. "Don't know if it's stress, something else, but he's not himself." Pang of guilt, but said nothing. Any explanation, more questions. Closest call, afternoon Sarah left for errands. Mark and I alone in kitchen, couldn't resist pull of his presence. "You're going to get us caught," I whispered, kissing him, hands sliding to waist. "Let them," he murmured against my lips. Just as things heating up, front door opened. "Mom!" Chloe called from hallway. Sprang apart, heart racing, scrambled to look innocent. Mark grabbed dish towel, pretended drying hands. I busied myself rearranging counter. Sarah walked in, glanced between us, brow furrowed slightly. "What's going on?" "Nothing," I said quickly, voice too high. "Just cleaning up." Gaze lingered, moment, nodded, but could tell, unconvinced. Every time together, told myself last time. End it before truth out, everything fell apart. But every time, back to him. Couldn't resist pull. Deep down, knew only matter of time before secret exposed. Secret surface, no matter how tight you keep them locked. Every glance Mark and I exchanged, every stolen touch, walls around our secret began to crack. Should have known couldn't last forever. Started with Sarah. "You've been acting weird," Sarah said one evening. Porch, wine. Froze, hand tightened around glass stem. "What do you mean?" Shrugged, brow furrowed, staring out at yard. "Don't know. Like you're distracted. Mark's been same way, out all time. Doesn't tell me where he's going. When I ask, just says working on something. Feels like he's hiding something." Forced laugh, sound unnatural. He's in his 20s, Sarah. Normal for him to want independence. Maybe, she said, sip of wine. But not just him. You too. You've been distant. Like there's something you're not telling me. Stomach twisted with guilt. Plastered on smile. You're imagining things, I said lightly. Just been busy with work. Nodded slowly, but eyes lingered. Moment too long. Like she didn't entirely believe me. Cracks widened during another family dinner. Tension between Mark and me growing. No matter how hard we tried, harder to hide. Sarah busy in kitchen. Chloe came into living room, plopped on couch beside me. Hey, she said casually, phone out. You and Mark been spending a lot of time together lately. Heart skipped, kept expression neutral. What do you mean? Shrugged, scrolling phone. Don't know, just noticed. The way he looks at you, it's weird. Laughed nervously, brushing off comment. You're imagining things. Chloe didn't look convinced. Maybe, she said, tone suspicious. Mark walked in. Eyes flicked to me, then away. Chloe's gaze darted between us, wheels turning. Everything okay, Mark? He asked, voice steady, cautious. Yeah, Chloe said, eyes narrowing slightly. Just talking about how you've been acting weird lately. Mark's jaw tightened. No response. Turned, walked back to kitchen, leaving me with Chloe's suspicion. Moment, everything crashed. Week later. Sarah planned small get-together, close friends, family, casual dinner. Promised myself, keep distance from Mark. Tension between us palpable from moment I arrived. Evening, caught him stealing glances, gaze lingering. Tried to ignore it. Chatting with guests, helping Sarah in kitchen. More I tried to avoid him, more drawn to him. After dinner, Sarah and others cleaning up, stepped outside for air. Cool evening breeze, relief from crowded house heat. Heard door open, turned, Mark stepping onto porch. We need to stop this, I said quietly, voice trembling. No reply. Close distance, hand brushed mine. I can't, he said, voice low, emotional. I won't. Before I could respond, kissed me. Lips capturing mine, knees weak. Moment, forgot where we were, risk, everything except him. Then heard it. Sharp intake of breath, glass shattering on porch, broke apart, turned, Sarah standing in doorway, face pale, eyes wide with shock. What the hell is going on? She demanded, voice trembling with anger. Silence deafening, opened mouth to speak, no words. Mark stepped forward, hands raised as if to calm her. Mom, please, don't. She snapped, voice shaking. Don't you dare try to explain this. Gaze shifted to me, eyes hurt, betrayed. How could you? She asked, voice breaking. You're my best friend, like family, and this is what you've been doing behind my back? Sarah, I'm sorry, I said, tears streaming. Wasn't supposed to happen, never meant to hurt you. Hurt me, she repeated, voice rising. You've been sneaking around with my son. Any idea what this means? What this could do to our family? Mom, it's not like that, Mark said, voice firm. I love her. Sarah's eyes widened. Moment, looked like might collapse. You... what? I love her, he repeated, voice steady. And she loves me. Froze, breath catching. Never said it out loud before. Hearing words now. Chaos, both exhilarating, devastating. Sarah stared at him, face disbelief, fury. You're confused, she said finally. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about, Mark said, tone unwavering, rest of night, blur of shouting, tears. Sarah demanded I leave, voice trembling, anger, heartbreak. Can't even look at you right now, she said, eyes burning into mine. You've destroyed everything. Tried to explain, make her understand, not careless fling. Wouldn't listen. You betrayed me, she said, voice breaking. You betrayed all of us. Walked outdoor, heart shattering. That night, alone in living room replaying everything. Weight of what I'd done, suffocating. Couldn't shake image of Sarah's face. Hurt, betrayal, disbelief. Mark texted, didn't respond. Couldn't. Needed time to think, process. Knew one thing, nothing would ever be same. Days after, living aftermath of storm. Everything quieter, damage impossible to ignore. Sarah didn't call, text, didn't dare reach out. Stayed in house, replaying night over and over. Wondering if there was way to stop it before spiraled out of control. Truth was, once Mark and I crossed line, no way to undo inevitable. Mark called every day, messages when I didn't answer. "Please talk to me," he said in one, voice strained. "Can't just let this end like this. Need to know you're okay." Wasn't okay. Didn't know how to tell him. Finally answered one call. Week later, voice shaking. "Mark, I can't do this right now." "Can't do what?" he asked, voice softer. "Any of it," I said, tears threatening. "Sarah hates me. Chloe probably hates me. And you've lost your relationship with your mom because of me." "That's not your fault," he said firmly. "I made my own choices." "But I should have stopped this before it got to this point," I said, voice breaking. "I didn't. And now everything is ruined." Long pause, then he spoke. "Do you regret us?" he asked quietly. Question hit harder than expected. Did I regret it? Passion, connection, way he made me feel alive? No, but couldn't ignore cost. "I don't know," I admitted, voice barely whisper. Sarah's silence, hardest part. Decades, closest friend, confidant, person I could always rely on, now felt like mourning loss of piece of myself. Tried writing letter, pouring out everything I couldn't say in person. How sorry, how much I valued her. Never meant to hurt her. But time to mail it, couldn't. Felt selfish. Trying to absolve myself of guilt, not mine to forgive. Weeks turned months. Saw Sarah occasionally, community events, passing in grocery store. Didn't speak. Avoided my gaze. Didn't have courage to approach. Chloe, like her mother, kept distance. Didn't know all details, knew enough to look at me, mix of confusion, disappointment, even colder. Anger at Mark only grown after Sarah found out. Refused to speak to him at all. Mark told me strained conversations. Chloe would leave room whenever he tried to explain. Sarah, barely more than few words to him in weeks. "She won't even look at me," he said one night. "Phone. Don't know how to fix it." Neither did I. Eventually, Mark and I started to drift apart. Not conscious decision, no dramatic breakups, tearful goodbyes. Weight of what happened, what we'd done, began to suffocate whatever we shared. Stopped texting as much. Late night calls less frequent. Then one day, he didn't call at all. Told myself for best. Needed time to heal, figure out how to pick up pieces of lives without each other. Didn't make it hurt less. Months later, ran into Sarah, coffee shop. Standing in line ahead of me, hair pulled back, expression tired, calm, hesitated, debating turn and leave before she noticed. Then she looked up, eyes met mine, moment. Neither said anything. Then, surprise, small tentative nod. "Hi," I said cautiously. "Hi," she replied, tone neutral. Wanted to say so much. Apologize again. Tell her how much I missed her. Knew wasn't what she needed. "How's Chloe?" I asked instead. "She's fine," Sarah said, gaze softening slightly. "And Mark?" Hesitated, unsure how much she wanted to hear. "I think he's okay. He's been focusing on his art." Nodded. Flicker of something unreadable, crossing face. Stood in awkward silence, moment. Then she said, "I'm not ready to talk about everything, but maybe someday." "Okay," I said softly, chest tightening. "Whenever you're ready, don't regret Mark. Not entirely. What we had, real. Brought something into my life, didn't realize I'd been missing. But came at a cost. Wasn't prepared to pay." Sarah's tentative words, coffee shop, sliver of hope, rebuild friendship someday. Knew wouldn't be same. Some betrayals leave scars, never fully heal. As for Mark, don't know if I'll ever see him again. Maybe he'll find someone his own age, love him without guilt, secrecy. Maybe I'll find peace knowing, brief moment, I meant something to him. Life doesn't give clean endings, gives messy, complicated, imperfect moments, and we have to figure out how to live with them. And so I do,